Earning more money, Christopher finally feels like his life is back on track. Little does he realize that things are about to go off the rails in a shocking way.
Typically what we were doing actually was above ground work on new construction homes. I was installing a lot of sewer lines, mostly above ground stuff. This was actually my first underground job with this company that we had ever done. That job started on the 13th. There was a clog in one of the sewer pipes going down there, and we snaked it with a camera from a manhole, snaked it up.
Snaking a line involves the use of a small camera attached to the end of a flexible cable, which allow plumbers to view the lines from the inside to isolate problems.
One, to try to find where the blockage was, because there was a blockage coming from a strip center right in that area, and also to get a depth on how deep it was. We got our findings and we told the owner, and we scheduled to go back the next day on the 14th. When we had snaked it the previous day, we were pretty sure it was what we saw was a break in the line, which causes dirt to enter and starts anything that tries to go down is going to get stopped up.
A break in the sewer line is common, but can be difficult to fix. It almost always involves digging to where the break happened and replacing the section of line.
We spent a lot of time on the 13th and on the 14th breaking up concrete because it was in the middle of a parking lot. Just a lot of constant going and going, chipping big pieces into smaller pieces and shoveling them out. I think our hole originally was, roughly 3 foot wide by 6 or 7 foot long. Pretty narrow. At this point, we were just trying to get down to where we could figure out where it was. We had a probe, so we would hand dig like 6 inches a foot maybe, and then try to see if we could feel where the pipe was. We had to start with the excavator. After that, we couldn't get to it by hand. I remember we got down to maybe 4 or 5 foot, and that's when I recommended shoring equipment.
Shoring is temporary walls built out of plywood. It provides the only stability that you can get below grade. Otherwise, it's not stable at all.
Was told we didn't have it, and supervisor had said he's been doing it for X amount of years, he's never used it, it'll be fine. I probably asked him 2 or 3 times about it, and it's not something I wanted to do, but I have 4 kids to take care of.
Christopher recognizes the danger of the situation, but his supervisor is adamant that the work continue.
I went ahead and I kept digging. We got, it was about 6 foot, 7 foot. Checked it again, got back down in the hole. Everything was fine, couldn't find it still. Got back out of the hole. I dug more, roughly 9 foot. And it's still very narrow, maybe 4 foot at this point. I told him, I was like, man, I don't know about this. It's too deep. He basically said that we have to get it done. We can't just sit around and do nothing with it. I said, all right.
Christopher reluctantly agrees to go back down.
I get down there and found the break. My supervisor leans down, he's on top of the hole on the concrete. And he leans down and tells me, Chris, if I tell you to run, that means run. But when he actually said run, he actually meant it. But I didn't catch that. And I said, huh? And I could hear the wall starting to come in. I went to run, and I ran and turned at the same time, jumping, trying to get out of the way of it. It just came in and it hit me and pushed me and contorted me in a weird way in the hole.
With only moments to spare, Christopher does his best to get out of the way of the dirt to save his life. Terrified, he desperately scrambles to get out of the trench, but it's too late.
Originally, I was buried up to about yay high. And as soon as I figured out what was going on, I started digging my chest out, because that's the worst part of when people get buried alive. So I've seen the videos, it's when you breathe and when you exhale, the dirt comes back in and compresses you to where you can no longer inhale. So that was my first thought, was okay, I need to clear out my chest area.
The weight of the soil will not allow the chest to expand. And as you start to not be able to breathe, you're also going to be asphyxiated with the dirt or gravel or sand or whatever it is that you're buried in.
I started screaming at my supervisor to call 911. and he insisted to try to dig me out with a backhoe, and I told him no. For one, I knew probably wasn't time for that. Two, if you move too much dirt too quickly, it'll just keep coming in and coming in. We argued about that for like 5 minutes before I just screamed at him at the top of my lungs, call 911, and he finally did.
After wasting precious time, Christopher's supervisor finally calls 911.
About 2:15, 2:30 in the afternoon, I saw the computer. It came up as an entrapment. And we thought it was a motor vehicle accident. We didn't look really good at the notes at the time. Realized it was a trench rescue as soon as we got closer to it.
One of the most dangerous jobs on a construction site is trenching, which kills an average of 40 workers per year.
One of our mutual aid partners, the Klein Fire Department, had an incident unfold in their territory, which involved a below-grade rescue.
Below grade is defined as any space below ground level. Typical sewer lines are buried between 5 to 6 feet. Christopher is now well below that threshold.
We are one of the local rescue teams that are specialized in certain capabilities. Trench, high angle, confined space, things of that nature. Once it was known by the Klein personnel who had gotten on scene, they'd immediately called for additional help, realizing that they didn't have the resources to handle it, but people around them did.
I'm stationed at Station 71, which is our Special Operations Technical Rescue Station. We have all the not typical fire department firefighting related equipment that you're gonna need when our normal trucks and our normal equipment aren't gonna get the job done. They're what we like to call our low frequency, high stress events. They don't happen very often, but when they do happen, it's usually a big ordeal.
Rescue crews are mobilizing and ready to spring into action.